Many people believe that clean eating is the best diet strategy for health. I mean, it's common sense, right? Eating only whole foods and eliminating all junk food from your diet can only be beneficial, right? But what if I told you that the clean eating trend is actually a huge scam? So what is clean eating? Most people would say it's simple, just eating whole, minimally processed foods and eliminating all junk food from your diet. For instance, they're probably going to say that foods like brown rice, yogurt, and honey are good foods and are part of a healthy diet, but foods like white rice, bread, or sugar are bad foods and have no place in a healthy diet. And I mean, with a list this short, you probably already noticed some contradictions here. Let's just take honey and sugar as an example. Most people will probably argue that out of honey and sugar, honey is the superior choice due to it being natural and minimally processed. Taking a deeper look, both are simple carbohydrates, are high in sugars, and fall within a similar range on the glycemic index. Honey's trace vitamins and minerals maybe justify why it's slightly better than sugar, but unless you're eating 100 grams of honey in one go, these nutrients are so minute that any benefit to your health is pretty marginal. What about foods like brown rice and white rice, where brown rice is quite obviously cleaner than white rice, right? If by cleaner you mean less processed, yes, brown rice is cleaner. The bran layer on brown rice, which is removed when making white rice, contains fiber and other vitamins. But this bran layer also contains phytic acid, which is sort of like an anti-nutrient that binds to minerals and reduces their absorption, which white rice doesn't have due to its extra processing. If the foods on the good and bad list are so similar when broken down in our body, what foods are really clean? The truth is, no one knows. I mean, depending on who you ask, some people will say that eating clean means eating no carbs and only eating meat, whereas other people will say that, well, eating meat is bad and we can only eat fruit and veggies as part of a healthy diet. If you went down the rabbit hole of all the foods that people deem as unclean, you would have an empty plate. It's obvious that some foods are just better for us nutrient-wise than others, and you probably just think I'm nitpicking here. But the main problem I have with clean eating is if we don't have a clear, straightforward definition of what eating clean really is, how can we follow it as the best strategy for overall health or weight loss? But you're probably thinking, you know someone that's followed a clean diet in the hopes of becoming healthier or losing weight, and it's worked to the extent that they have lost weight while following the diet. So for that reason, it must be something that we can implement and use to see results. I mean, let's just take keto, for example, a form of clean eating that many people use to cut carbs completely from their diets in order to lose weight. Cutting entire food groups from your diet can be beneficial for weight loss in the short term because it includes naturally putting ourselves in a calorie deficit because we have excluded an entire group of foods from our diet. And in cutting carbs, you also, as a byproduct, cut out foods like chips, pizza, and ice cream, all of which are highly palatable and are very easy for most of us to overeat. So clean eating in this context only worked because we eliminated highly palatable, calorie-dense foods from our diet, which we were overeating before. But it wasn't those foods directly that were making you fat, it was the amount of those foods that were affecting your weight. And of course, there are foods that are obviously better for you than others, like an apple compared to McDonald's chips, but it is the dose that makes the poison. Although classed as good or clean, even eating too many apples a day can have adverse effects on your health and can seriously impact gut health for a lot of people. No single food or food group by itself is bad for you. It only becomes a problem when it's the main part of your diet. So not only is eliminating entire food groups completely unnecessary, when you do so, you also run the risk of running into nutrient deficiencies in your diet. One study comparing two groups of female bodybuilders, one group following a macronutrient-based plan and another group following a strict meal plan where they had specific foods with no substitutions, found that those following the macronutrient plan had a higher intake of vitamins like K, E, and C than those following a strict diet plan, which suggests that the more flexible approach allows us to avoid certain nutrient deficiencies when dieting. I mean, don't get me wrong, eating clean and eliminating entire food groups may work for many people, including myself, for a short period of time. I actually just completed a 60-day weight loss phase, which some of you may have seen in a previous video on my channel, where I largely cut processed foods from my diet in order to reach my weight loss goal and stay on track. And although this method of clean eating did work for me in the short term, it really is not sustainable. After finishing my diet, I found myself feeling ridiculously guilty for eating the foods I had previously cut out, and for the first time in a long time, I felt an increase increase in the feeling of wanting to binge on these foods once I'd finally let myself have them again. And I'm not alone in this experience. Research has shown time and time again that the sustainability of a diet is a determining factor of long-term weight loss. A 10-week study comparing flexible and rigid dieters found that although both groups initially lost pretty much the same amount of weight, in a 10-week follow-up period post-diet, the flexible dieters gained back no fat mass at all, unlike the rigid dieters who regained a whole 1.1 kilograms of fat mass. And this rigid form of dieting is also shown to be related to higher BMI and increased tendencies of binge eating. And this is most likely because rigid dieting and clean eating creates a binary or black and white distinction of food being either good or bad, which can lead to an unhealthy all or nothing mindset when it comes to dieting and be very psychologically damaging for a lot of people. Clean eating can also introduce the idea of clean versus cheat meals and also lead to cycles of falling off the wagon, all out binges, and then extremely restrictive behavior to try and get on the bandwagon again, only to fall off when that inevitable cheat meal comes around again. Having a fixation on consuming only healthy, unprocessed foods in its extreme form can also lead to eating disorders like orthorexia, which can have seriously damaging effects on both your mental and physical health, as it leads to anxiety around food and missing out on social occasions, potentially affecting your relationships with other people, and then reducing your overall quality of life, which is just a shame and completely unnecessary. Now, let me just quickly add here that I don't think healthy eating and clean eating are the same thing, and I also don't think that all foods are equal on the nutritional playing field. What I am saying is I don't think it's beneficial or necessary to eliminate entire food groups entirely from our diet. I mean, unless you have an allergy or an intolerance. And it is entirely possible to eat all the foods we deem nutritious and also the foods that feed our soul and still have a healthy diet. I want to reiterate here, no single food has a negative impact on your body by itself. It is only the quantity of that food that has a negative effect on your health. For that reason, I think whether your goal is health or weight loss, it makes much more sense to follow a diet that is 80% whole foods or minimally processed foods, and then 20% maybe more calorie dense or palatable foods that you really enjoy. Another method of dieting that I find sustainable and a good way of looking at food is thinking about what you can add to your diet instead of what you can subtract. So instead of cutting cookies completely from your life, think about the vegetables or healthy fats and grains that you can add to your diet during the day to keep your health in check while also satisfying your cravings with that cookie. Because most likely, when you fancy that cookie and you eat a whole bowl of oats to avoid eating that cookie, you still want the cookie. And eating all of that food didn't fill the same hole that a cookie would have filled on much less calories. And this applies to those of you who are on a weight loss journey too. The most important point about losing weight is being in a calorie deficit for a consistent period of time. So hypothetically, you could, although I don't recommend it, please don't do it. I'm not saying you should do it. You could eat cookies all day, every day. As long as you were in your calorie deficit, you would still lose weight. But being realistic here and also focusing on our long-term health, the diet that is best for you is the one that will fit your lifestyle and be most sustainable for you over time. So if that means having the occasional chocolate bar while still staying in your deficit, then so be it. In my opinion, if these inclusions prevent you from going off plan or all out binging on your diet, then they're completely worth it and will lead to more sustainable weight loss in the long run. But if you're interested in a deeper dive in how to achieve and maintain long-term weight loss, I'll pop up on the screen the latest video that I filmed on the topic. But that is all I have for you guys today. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up or comment down below if you found this video helpful. Please let me know what you want to see from me next, and I'll catch you in the next one.